Hi, I'm Sam.
And I'm Max.
And this is Movie Nostalgia, where we give you an honest review of the movies we've meddled with so mischievously over at Maybe Movies.
And on this episode, we're going to be talking about, all hyperbole aside, arguably one of the best sci-fi horror films of all time, one of the best horror films of all time, arguably the best Carpenter film of all time, so far. He's still with us. And also, weirdly enough, one of the best remakes of all time.
Indeed.
The one and only 1982's John Carpenter's The Thing, starring Kurt Russell, Keith David, Donald Moffat, Richard Dysart, Wilford Brimley, Thomas Waits. Again, for those of you who know The Warriors, you know who I'm talking about.
We are not going to hide who we are just because some whore shakes her ass.
A couple of the other guys who I'm sorry, T.K. Carter, I think it was Knowles.
All right,
name that I picked up. And two interesting cameos. Mm. You know, we were talking earlier about when the dog goes into in the living quarters and the shadow. Mm. And we're saying who is it? Who it really is, who's actually playing that part to throw you off the scent. Stunt coordinator and Carpenter regular Dick Warlock. Best known as the original Michael Myers.
Indeed, the shape itself.
And the other one, interesting one, is the only female cast member is the voice of the chess wizard.
Of course.
It was Adrienne Barbeau.
Really, even back then?
Yeah. Well, they were still married at the time.
Oh, cool. They were already married at that time. Right, okay, yeah, okay, fair enough. Goodness me, I never recognised Barbeau's voice, though, you know.
Until I read it the other day, and I was like, and then I was listening out for it today. I was like, yeah, you can hear it.
I'm going to have to, the next time we watch it, I'm going to have to pay proper attention and see if I can hear it.
Bishop to knight 4. My move. Knight to rook 3.
So we're going to start this one a little bit differently to normal.
Yeah.
We're just going to do our rating straight off because you could probably tell from that, this is the pinnacle.
The thumbs and the fingers!
Oh, go on then.
All of them!
Yes.
All of them! Watch it many times.
Even after all of this time, and even, you always spot something different. And even when you start to spot any kind of actual technical flaws in the film, it still holds your attention from start to finish.
It really, really does. So should we start with the erstwhile plot?
Do we want to do our first watches?
First watches. Okay, well, this is a pretty simple one. This would have been the first time it was broadcast on British television. I'm not even sure if it was the BBC or if it was ITV. I think it might have been ITV. I think there were commercial breaks. But it was a late night watch, sitting up with my mum. Neither of us had any idea what we were watching. And tiny little mind was broken. For so many reasons. I won't get into it too much because some of them are slightly spoiler-issues. Mm-hmm. Maybe we'll talk about them later. This was a new experience, a whole new level of storytelling for me. I was amused, terrified, confused, entranced by what I was seeing. I couldn't look away. I could not look away. Even though so much of what I was seeing at the age of, 11, 12, it was quite horrific. But it just is mesmerisingly done. It's beautifully manufactured. Sorry, so for you.
Ooh, well, so here's the thing. Well, here is the thing.
Oh, there is the thing. Yes, indeed, there is the thing.
I'm going to put that there.
Yes, there is the thing.
Yes. Let me think. When this came out, so I'd have been...
it was 82, wasn't it? Yeah.
So I'd have been 8 when this came out. Obviously, I didn't see it when I was 8. I remember my parents talking about it. I certainly remember my dad talking about it. I can't remember who he was talking about it to.
Right.
But he was having a discussion with somebody, and I just happened to overhear it, talking about this horrible horror movie that just come out called The Thing. And I always got the impression that when he said horrible, he meant horrible as in horrific, as opposed to bad.
Ah, right, okay, yeah,
and
sure.
So that kind of tweaked my interest. But then, honestly, when I bought this, is when I first saw it.
No!
Which would have been... give me a second. 2003? when I was living in Sussex.
I am shocked, sir. I am shocked. Because he was on TV like 4 times after 1984.
I moved around a lot, don't forget.
Huh?
I moved around a lot.
I guess. But
I was a late comer to horror movies for a start.
Oh, okay.
And by the
all
time
right.
I was there, I was either living in France, living back here, moving around different counties because I was working in hospitality. So,
Admittedly, I forget that you are a latecomer to horror.
yes.
I do admit I overlook that.
I've always been very interested in the macabre from an early age, but I was more interested in it in terms of literature as opposed to movies.
All right.
So, not latecomer to horror. Latecomer to horror movies, not horror as a genre.
Yeah. Yeah, no,
Is
I
what I
understand. I'm kind of the other way around. I got interested in horror fiction because of my interest in horror movies.
Gotcha. This is when I was living in Sussex, and I used to go down to the video store. They would be doing 3 for like $5.99 each, or 3 for a tenner.
Ooh,
and so I'd
that's
go
good,
and
yeah.
buy a couple of films that I knew I wanted, and then something that I'd either meant to always watch or had been told was good. And this was one of them. Because I remember, I remember people said about that a few times.
Oh, 2003?
Yeah.
Oh my god.
God. With a lot of the films that I now really, really love, it took a couple of watches.
Really?
Yeah, I watched it and I was like, yeah, that was pretty good. And then it wasn't so much that the film didn't have an impact. It's just the time in my life when I was watching it, there were so many other things going on. I didn't really have time to process the subtext and the deeper meanings of it.
Right.
So it wasn't until I watched it about a year or so, maybe a few months after I'd first bought it and watched it, and then I was like, why have I only watched this twice? This is amazing.
Exactly. Well, goodness me. I mean, I knew you were a bit of a latecomer to horror, but 2003?
Again, I just,
Wow.
there's a lot of things that I just never had the time to do, or just wasn't that...
Why did nobody ever say this to you? It's a bit like saying, I've never seen Star Wars.
No, people did. A lot of people said to me, you should watch The Thing, and I was always like, okay, cool. But
You
it
just never got around to it.
it.
Oh, right, okay. Okay, fair enough.
And as I said, a lot of the work that I used to do, I was working 78 hours a week.
Mm.
And normally late into the night as well. So, it just never seemed to get around to it. But, yes. Yeah. Ever since then, I don't know how many times I've watched it now. And again, as we already said, it never gets old.
It doesn't get old. I mean, this is, for me, top 5 favourite horror movies. I won't say which number that is, but I will say it is in the top 5. It is a quintessential classic.
It is, which considering, obviously that it didn't go down very well when it first came out.
That has always amazed me whenever I see these videos that recount the history of it and how badly it did in its initial release. And I'm amazed because as soon as it came out, like as soon as it was available on video, it immediately became a cult classic.
Yeah. So what I understand is, so it was made on a budget of 15 million and domestically only took just over 20 million. And then worldwide, on top of that, was only an additional 780,000.
Really? The international market was that bad?
Yeah.
Whoa.
But the thing is, again, I was reading something about that earlier, and it was saying part of the reason possibly was because at the time there was something of a recession, and a lot of the other films coming out around that time, because for a start it was going up against things like E.T.
Oh, I see. Yes.
But also generally a lot of the sort of fantasy films and sci-fi movies were also a lot more aspirational. And because, again, this recession was going on, the kind of like sort of quite bleak, nihilistic almost narrative in the film didn't turn people on. Because life was a pretty shit at the time anyway, they wanted something to elevate them.
I mean, obviously I was a kid at the time, but I remember things being really quite crap, especially in the UK. And that is true. I don't quite understand how that translates to a film suffering. But that's me personally. I'm quite open-minded about what art brings to us, and it doesn't have to feed into the zeitgeist to be good.
I know, I agree. I'm simply quoting what I read about that.
No. I'm not criticising you at all. I'm just saying my response to that is, which is interesting. It is interesting because it is a great piece of filmmaking.
Again, it's another one of those ones that he was kind of late to it. They'd started talking about doing a remake in the mid-70s.
Really? Oh, right. Okay. Well, that doesn't surprise me, I suppose.
There was a number of different writers and directors attached. The first person who took it on as director was Toby Hooper.
I'm glad we didn't get Toby Hooper. I think he's a little too grindhouse for us.
Yeah. I can't remember why he dropped out, but yeah. They approached Carpenter because of his success with Halloween.
What's the boogeyman?
As a matter of fact, it was.
Of course.
He initially he loved the idea, but actually thought it might be too big shoes to fill. Because he was such a fan of it.
I was going to say, it's in Halloween, isn't it? We knew he was a fan of the movie even back then. But I can see why he would say too big shoes to fill.
But there was something else. There was another film. It was a passion project of his. He heard may have been optioned or greenlit at another studio, so he backed out for a while. And then that turned out to not be true, and that's what brought him back to the table.
Well, I mean, I'm ever so glad he did.
Yes.
His unique vision and things like that. This is peak cinema. Peak 1980s cinema, guys. Cinematography, writing, directing, soundtrack, soundscaping. Everything about this film is a bit of a masterclass in how to get shit done.
With practical effects.
Yeah. Nothing here is digital. Everything is done in camera, on set. And, you know what? It shows. It pays.
It does.
Even the goo glistens correctly in the light because it is being lit and not having a digital blurb cast at it. Unlike the pre-sequel that we got later, which entirely replaced its physical effects with digital effects, even though 3/4 of the film had already been completed with physical effects. Alright, I'm not going to go there, that would be a tangent.
Yes, it
But
was.
just
Yes,
to show you, this is peak 1980s, we're doing the best we can with everything we've got, and doing a magnificent job with it.
And even that in itself is a bit of a story because Rob Bottin, who did the effects, he only really got onto Carpenter's top team, as it was, because he'd met him on another shoot. But somebody introduced him to Carpenter, and he was like, I'm your biggest fan.
Oh, right, okay.
Can I do a thing? And he apparently, it was on The Fog, because obviously he plays Blake, doesn't he?
Of course he does, yes, yeah.
And that was him. He said, have you got anything that you need? I don't care. You can put me in a mask. I don't care what you want. And apparently John Carpenter just turned around to him and went, stand up. And he thought he was going to say stand up and back off. And he was like, yeah, he's the right height. You've got the part. And then invited him back once he saw what you could do as a special effects guy. Brought him back for this. He was 22.
22. Jesus. That's talent.
Yes.
That is unrestrained talent there.
Oh, yeah, as I was watching the feature of the making of on there, I love this. So I've got to tell you because it's absolutely fantastic. But at the beginning with the dogs, and there's the thing that looks like the flower comes out. Mm-hmm. So Rob Bottin was saying what they actually made there is a circle of dogs' tongues with teeth growing out of the tongues.
Oh, wow. Oh, wow. Wow.
Wow.
It's just the guy's imagination is fantastic.
That is just brilliant. Absolutely brilliant.
Ghoulish, but fantastic. Anyway, sorry, do you want to talk about the plot?
Right, okay. So this is going to be fairly brief. So this is the tale of the inhabitants of US Scientific Outpost 31? 31 in the Antarctic. The experiences they have when their camp is invaded by a rogue dog being chased by a pair of Norwegians in a helicopter.
You really want to save those crazy Swedes, huh? Norwegians.
Things get violent quick and get out of hand quick. And from there, the team tries to piece together what happened to these Norwegians and why. And in this process, discover something very, very frightening indeed.
They didn't do it. I suppose it would have been too obvious, wouldn't it?
What's that?
They never had anyone say who goes there.
It would have been cool though.
I mean, there is a nice nod.
Well, because most people don't even know that's the name of the original story.
Yeah. Which again is one of those weird stories because it has been copied so many times. Obviously, the original thing from Another World, Horror Express is a Horror Express with Telly Savalas, Peter Cushing, Christopher Lee. That is a remake of Who Goes There?
I've never seen it, but that's amazing.
Yeah.
I had no idea that there was a connection to them.
Yeah.
Oh my goodness.
You can find it. I think it is probably on... I think I've watched it on YouTube for free. So you should...
All right. Okay, I thought you were going to say Amazon.
No, I'm sure it's on YouTube.
Oh my goodness. I thought that was a completely standalone Amicus...
Yeah,
Hammer-esque, production.
See,
I didn't
thought
realise it was that.
Yeah, it wasn't until I'd seen it. I'd seen it a few times, and then just as I sometimes do, I like sometimes just watching the end credits and stuff to see if there's any names of people who would become famous later. And it said in there, based on the short story Who Goes There by Joseph W. Campbell, isn't it?
Yes.
Xadrum is more than just curious content on YouTube. We're also a small publishing house, with books covering a range of genres from 1940s pulp adventure to children's novels, and even a touch of the macabre for those who like their literature on the dark side. Our titles are available in both paperback and ebook formats. Ebooks are available on Amazon, but physical copies can only be bought exclusively through our website at xadrum.com. Jeff's got enough cash as it is, so why not help us little guys grow and thrive? Links can be found in our banner and in the description to all of our videos, and we look forward to helping you indulge your itch for escapism.
So, as you can see, guys, we think a great deal of this story, this film, and this production. We think it's worth your time, and you probably considered looking at it just once.
Carpenter was also the best person to do it, because you see encapsulated in this all of those kind of very Carpenter-esque tropes of, again, dystopia, those kind of things, that kind of quiet menace, and that...
understated.
Yes, and that sense of distrust.
Mm-hmm. Paranoia.
Yes, that's the word I was looking for. Yeah, makes me think of things like, well, They Live would be the obvious one.
Of course.
To a certain degree, Prince of Darkness.
Uh-huh.
But at the mouth,
it crossed my mind.
Yeah, in the Mouth of Madness, definitely.
Absolutely.
So yeah, all of that is encapsulated in this film.
Well, there is the so-called Apocalypse trilogy, don't you?
Yeah, I didn't, but I can say it now. You say
The
that.
Thing, Prince of Darkness, In the Mouth of Madness.
Yeah.
They are the Apocalypse trilogy.
Definitely. Sorry, I was going to say, during the film I was like, and then I said I was going to save it for this. Oh, no, I can't now because there's spoilers. Don't worry about it.
We've been talking for a few minutes now. We're allowed... This is a 40-year-old movie. We're allowed to talk about spoilers. Guys, if you haven't seen it, go watch it. Whatever. Look at the time code below us at the moment and skip to that if you don't want to be spoiled. Okay? You've been warned.
With regards to the Thing, all parts of it are a part of the whole. But while its overall intellect never changes, or its intellectual capacity never changes, is its intellect based on what it is adapted or what it is simulated? So, for example, it can only do certain things as a dog. It seems... It's like it needed somebody like Blair to be able to go and do what it did.
I want to say... I want to be that awkward bastard that says yes but no. When we watch the behaviour of the dog at the beginning of the film, there are several scenes where it is deliberately going around the camp, observing what everyone else is doing and seeing how people are reacting to the chaos it's caused. So it has an intelligence, but it doesn't seem to be able to do much beyond what a dog could do. I think that it's a bit of a yes and no. Like there's a higher intelligence than the beast, but it's limited to what the beast can do.
So the higher intelligence stays dormant until it is in a place that it can then access that level of information.
I think I mean, that's my take on it, but it's. Well, thank you. I'll take that gold star.
God damn it! I've got a deficit of 1 already. No, that makes sense. That does make sense. Oh yeah, the dog. So apparently the dog was half husky, half wolf.
Really?
Yeah, because the guy who played Clark.
Uh-huh.
Again, in the interview stuff on here with him, and he was saying, because I think by the sounds of it, he's a guy who knows dogs.
Oh, right, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah, and he was saying that he did spend a lot of time with the dog during the shoot, and for the most part, it was fun. It's kind of like that's why when they were filming, even though it wasn't really used to being or like on a set and things like that, it didn't like bark a lot or anything. It didn't get really excitable. And so again, lovely dog, fine, but every so often it would just be like,
"Can I eat you?"
Yeah, and he'd be like, "Okay,
Yeah.
dog handlers, please."
I would feel the same way as well, personally. You know, that's my takeaway on that particular situation. Absolutely.
But yes, again, can we sing any more praises for this film?
One last run.
Okay.
One last ring, and then we should finish up.
Okay.
If you've never seen a John Carpenter film, watch this film. If you're not used to darker toned movies with darker toned endings, watch this film. It will teach you. This was, for me, this will be my last spoiler, was the first film that I ever saw that did not have a de facto happy ending. The fact that anything was in question at all was brain-boggling to me. And it kept me up for weeks. It's fairly bloodless, but very graphic in its visuals. So you have to be careful if you want to show it to your kids.
I mean, I'd say with regards to that, I mean, this is one of those films, I know you say that it's fairly bloodless, but even so, it is one of the ones that it's still an 18.
Yeah,
it is still definitely an 18.
It's very visually horrific.
Yes.
But there's little gore in it. There is... Transformation I don't think of as being the same as gore.
Oh, okay, yeah, I suppose.
It's not people being stabbed and gutted and things
true.
like
this
that.
is true.
You know.
Dark sci-fi horror.
Very dark.
It's probably the best way to try and gauge on the gore scale where it was.
Yeah.
So it's fantastical. That's what it was.
I'd consider it on the same scale as Alien.
Yes.
Which
yeah,
itself is relatively bloodless, but very frightening.
True. Yeah, I really don't have anything else to add about this one because, as I said, it speaks for itself. This is one of those rare movies that sits in that sweet spot that it is, as we said at the beginning, a timeless classic and always will be. Nothing yet that they've done with it has ever beaten it, and it probably ever will.
No, I don't think so. I don't think so. And at this point, I realise, oh my gosh, we've already done the thumbs.
Yes,
so how do we finish?
How do we finish? Well, we say, cut my legs off and call me shorty. Is that John Hangman Ruth over there? Is it John?
I think it is John Hangman Ruth, yes.
Yeah.
I think so, but I think I should call him Shorty.
I've got no legs. Anyway, we will be back with what was the other half of this next time. So until then, as always, look after yourselves, look after one another, and take care.
As always, guys, TTFN.
Hey, Sweden! Not Swedish, Mac, the Norwegian.